Alright, hello YouTubers, and this came quite quickly actually. So this is the Fugitive Doctor Character Online Tardis set. So yeah, we're just going to jump into it because I've got quite a few things to talk about it. Not as much about the figures themselves though, or the Tardis set, well I do, but anyway. So let's take a look at the Fugitive Doctor, which I'm just going to take the gun out, which is a bit of a nightmare to pose her with it. It fits okay in her right hand, but getting her left hand to hold it properly is a bit of a pain in the backside. So, yeah. So we have a Joe Martin figure at last, and yeah, she looks pretty damn good actually. The head sculpt is really nice, particularly the hair. You can see the lighter and darker strands and that of the hair just there. But this figure, just like the Sixth Doctor figure from the Ultimate Adventure that was released at B&M last year, doesn't actually use any paint on the face or the hands. It is just the raw plastic itself, which has been dyed. And while I will say it's still not perfect, you can still tell, you know, it looks a little bit odd, particularly, you know, when you display it with any other figures. I will say it has, what they've done this time, it has turned out slightly better, because I think they've added a sort of spray, like a clear sort of matte spray on afterwards, rather than just leaving it completely raw. So I think doing that just makes it look, you know, that little bit better. It's not a huge thing, but yeah, it does make it look a bit better. And I think obviously the advantage of that is that the paint itself isn't covering up the sculpt, because the problem is when the faces are painted is that at least some of the detail is going to be covered up, and sometimes if the paint is applied too thickly, then all of the detail can be covered up. The rest of the figure is mostly reusing bits and pieces here and there. I know bits of it are reusing, according to Aldebar, a Donna Noble figure, and other bits I believe are Primeval figures, but the coat itself I believe is completely brand new, as well as the waistcoat and the actual shirt there, which does have some quite nice detailing on it. So yeah, there's that. And you can see there, each and every one of these buttons going up the waistcoat and on the coat itself have all been painted and that as well, so again, that is another plus. So yeah, the coat looks absolutely fantastic, all the creases and details, and even the pockets and that on the side here have the little pocket details and that. Now, a telltale sign that this is reusing parts of the figure is no ball joints here. No ball joints here, which is a shame, because it means her arm does catch on the coat quite a bit, since it does poke out quite a bit. Luckily though, it is made of a very soft PVC plastic, so it doesn't hinder it, but I imagine over time going over and over this section here could wear the paint off a bit. You can also see here there's a little line. Now what is that line off? That is off the twisty ties that held her in the box. Yeah, we'll go more into the packaging later on in this review. But overall, she is a really nice figure, and that not one I was personally desperate for, but it is a welcome one, and it is a worthwhile one as well. So yeah, no real complaints about the figure. It is a fantastic figure, and yeah, nothing really to say about that. In terms of the paint apps, you know, on the head not being painted, I'm gonna say I still prefer it when they are painted. But on this one, it doesn't look too bad. It doesn't stand out as much. I think with the Sixth Doctor, it stood out a lot more. I think because we'd had previous variants of him, and when you stood it next to those, it really showed the difference. Whereas, obviously, since this is the first ever Fugitive Doctor figure that we've ever had, it's less of an issue here, since we don't have any direct comparisons. So, there's that. Taking a look at her gun, which was an accessory that was debated being included, but I'm very glad it was. Again, the gun is absolutely fantastic. You got all the little orange detail and that there, even the little trigger and that on there as well. The little barrel on that on the other side. So, yeah, finally, Doctors that come with, you know, accessories. Hooray! Now, in the future, there is possibly going to be a glasses variant. That is something Al Noir has stated that, you know, is on the cards. To be honest, I think it should have came with this. I think it should have been included in addition to the gun, kind of like with the Winston Churchill figure and the Time of the Doctor set, where the glasses are removable and aren't just stuck to the head. That would have been a nice little addition. I know it may have been a little bit fiddly in that to do it with this one. So, yeah, I can understand, you know, both variants on that. So, maybe just a swappable head. Who knows, that's something on the cards. I should also mention I do like the detail of the shirt poking out on both ends. And that, and still having the little pattern detail on that on there as well. So yeah, that's the figure and its accessory. So we're doing good so far. Now, onto the Tardis, which, this is a very nice looking Tardis. It is a very nice looking Tardis. So, the main differences to go through, first of all, is the blue is completely different. This time, it's much more of a lighter blue. It kind of reminds me more of the blue that the original 4th Doctor TARDIS release from Forbidden Planet was. That kind of blue, but it does have a very sort of dark wash over the top. We'll get onto this bit in a minute. So yeah, that's different. The windows are different. Basically, the windows themselves, the actual pattern that is on them is actually different to previous ones. It's less of a pebbly type effect compared to the other ones. It looks slightly different. I don't know what it is about it that makes it look different. If I just grab the first Doctor TARDIS here. Yeah, I don't know. It might be the same. It might be the white, actually, that's bringing it through, but it does look slightly different, the pattern. I don't know what it is. It might just be the way this one came out the mugs. I don't know. Something that is definitely different though on the window is the white backing. So, these ones apparently have a painted white backing, although it's not. It's just the type of plastic that they've used is a slightly different white. Normally, it's a slightly duller, sort of greyish white. Whereas this one, it is more of a proper, you know, sort of a stark, contrasting white, which I think is meant to make the windows look as if they're lighting up. Because this TARDIS has no lights or sound effects. Yeah. So we've still got that useless speaker grill on there. And a useless now battery compartment on the back, which does absolutely nothing on this. So yeah, it also makes it feel incredibly light as well. So yeah, no lights and sound effects. Again, I'll get on more into it in a moment. The roof is completely new, as well as the lantern on top, which it doesn't want to focus on properly. But yeah, you can see the lantern is just there. Unfortunately, since there's no LED in it, you can just see completely through it as well, which is a shame. The roof, you know, the reason the roof is slightly different is because the roof on the actual prop actually is not completely flat. It does have a sort of tilt to it. So, yeah. But in terms of the lantern, it has the problem of, since it's non-electronic, you can just see all the way through it. And you can see that there's no bulb or anything in there. Which, yeah, that is a shame. The roof is quite nice, though. And since it does go up at an angle very slightly, it avoids the problem of all the completely flat roof variants, where a lot of those tend to dip in at the middle due to, basically, one, the weight of the lantern on top, but also the way it's put together. So, yeah. Excuse me. So, yeah, this is non-electronic. This set is £40. £40! And, me being me, seeing it immediately, I did two stupid things. One, I ordered it immediately. And two, I had a £10 voucher from Character Options that I forgot to use because if you remember the second time the 14th Dr. Sonic screwdrivers came out, I actually ordered one because I wanted a spare one in case one of mine broke. Because I had two of them, one to open, one to keep boxed, and I wanted a third one just to, keep as a spare. Because those things, do feel like they're going to break at any minute. Unfortunately, even though I ordered one, later Character had to cancel my order and also a thousand or so other people's orders, basically because they didn't have enough stock. And instead they emailed me an email giving me a £10 voucher for next time I spent something. So yeah, I forgot to do that. That was my fault. But anyway, since I ordered it so quickly, I didn't realise until afterwards that it was non-electronic. And why is it non-electronic? There is no excuse. Let me just get the TARDIS in that I compared it to earlier. So this is the TARDIS from An Adventure in Space and Time, even though it's inaccurate to how it looked on screen. But this was a B&M release, which came with a David Bradley First Doctor figure, which is in there with Colin Baker. This has electronics, and it was £20. Now, obviously, last year we got the Ultimate Adventure TARDIS set, which didn't have electronics, and was still £20. And there's arguments to be made, you could give it the benefit of the doubt on saying, okay, maybe they could afford it last year, they couldn't afford it this year, for whatever reason. This being £40 though, no. And I've heard a load of excuses across the board saying, oh, well, this is a brand new figure. The head and the coat and that, obviously the head and that are brand new. I'll give you that, those are brand new. The rest of it, though, is mainly just reused parts, which, again, is something we've seen in B&M. I'm not holding that against this, it's still a fantastic figure, I'm not holding that against it, but, this could be something very much we see in B&M. Probably not with the accessory, maybe, but it is something that could be seen in B&M. This whole set could be seen in B&M, for £20. Now, for those who don't know, B&M do knock, the price down to the absolute minimum. And they do this deliberately is because B&M's whole, strategy as a retailer is basically to sell things as cheaply as possible, but in a higher volume as possible. That's their whole stick. And to also have as few staff members and that as possible. It's kind of like basically just, maximise profits. So yeah, this is a set that absolutely could have been released in B&M. The whole point of the Character Online exclusives is to basically have sets that have, a bit of a bigger budget. So they're sets that can, have stuff that isn't available in B&M. Stuff like, for example, the Silurian set from a couple of years ago. But was that even last year? No, it was 2022 that was released. Or even, the 14th Doctor figure, Power of the Doctor set that was released. That one was released last year. I could accept that one because that one used a lot more new parts. And it was also cheaper, but this being £40, no electronics, like, there's no excuse for it. There is no excuse for it. And I've heard a lot of people give excuses saying, oh, well, it's because it's limited quantity, that's why they can't do it. Yeah, who remembers the Abominable Snowmen set? Yeah, who remembers that? Now, that, I believe, if I remember rightly, was a £5 more. Was £45. But, like, I'd pay the £5 difference to have the electronics. It'd still be overpriced. But, still be very much worth it. Though saying that, it should still be that for 40 quid. Come on. So, you haven't got that excuse. And two, these are made in around about the same quantities as the B&M TARDIS sets. Yeah. Yeah, these basically have around about the same amount of manufactured TARDIS sets as the B&M ones, which is usually around the 5,000 mark. 4 to 5,000 is usually around, the standard on how many they do in a batch. Obviously, they can do a couple of batches, but for example, basically, this is how many of these first Doctor Tardis sets were manufactured, and that. So yeah. So again, there's like, I don't know why people are excusing character so much for it. They're a massive company. Obviously, would you call them the biggest toy retailer? No, but they're still a massive company. Doctor Who Scuff is not the only thing they make. I know. It's hard for a lot of people to get their heads around it. I'll put this thing over here just so I can focus in on this a bit easier. But yeah, Doctor Who Scuff is not the only thing they make. They make a lot of other things as well. So yeah, no excuse for the non-electronics, which makes this set really overpriced, and I do feel like I'm being ripped off. Especially considering I've bought 2 of them, because I always buy at least 2, because I like to keep one open and keep one in the box. Speaking of the box, if we move the figures and that out the way for a moment. So on this one we have an optional extra. We have a cardboard cutout of the TARDIS here, which, oh look, even on the cardboard I've just noticed, even on the cardboard they printed out a load of illegal information and that on there. Not even a piece of cardboard can you not escape characters' legal information. Now, you can see in the instructions you can pop this out. You can see here, it is just literally the cardboard that's the inner card that the box is made out of. You can pop that out, although Alderar suggests to cut it out. I'm not going to, because personally I don't want it in there. But basically the way this is that if you want a TARDIS interior, you simply put it in there, slide it in there, make sure the flaps go behind the doors, and there you go. Because these TARDISes, the classic series ones, were not designed to have backdrops. They were never designed to have that. Just notice there's a loose twist tie there. Yeah, also this one, the packaging is a little bit funny on getting it out. It's actually considerably more of a pain in the backside to get the figures and the TARDIS out than it is the B&M one, which I'll go into in a second. I mean, it's a nice enough thing to have in there. I'm not going to complain about it, but yeah, it just kind of feels like it was slapdash last minute. And this is also the Easter egg that was talked about. And to be honest, I'm just going to leave it in there because it makes a nicer backdrop, because if you're like me, as soon as this review is done, these figures and the TARDIS are going to go back in this box and that. Which I think this makes a much nicer backdrop than just having plain card on the back. Now, taking a look at the packaging of a one that is actually sealed. So, I was very surprised. This actually has windows. Like, actual plastic windows, yeah. Which is interesting because, because the one shown off in the character options video where Aldewar's got it does have the plastic windows, but on the character options website, the official promotional images, they did not have plastic windows. There was no plastic windows, and I was fully expecting this not to have the plastic windows. So it is a plus that it does have them. It gives the figure obviously some more, and the TARDIS some more protection and that. So there is that, so it does give it more protection, and to be honest, it does need the windows really to give it some more support, because otherwise without the windows it would only have these 2 posts to give the front section of the box some support. Now what makes this more difficult to get into than other ones is, one, we have this bit at the side here which says Doctor Who 60 years, which I don't know why it does, because this is not a piece of 60th anniversary merchandise. But okay, whatever. But because of this being at an odd angle at the side, it does make it a little bit more difficult to get into the box. Also, I should mention, there's a load of information on the back. Yeah, which none of us ever bother reading. So yeah, so anyway, you crack into the box, you slide it out, and then, as shown before, you're greeted to this. And for some reason this has 2 flaps at the bottom that, yeah, I don't know why they're like this. The Tardis itself is screwed in, and then you have to cut around this flap here to get the figure out. Oh, and it uses a lot of these plastic tabs, which I bloody hate. Because, again, I mean, thankfully it hasn't really done it too much on this one, but generally the plastic goes through there and can often bend the posts. Thankfully it hasn't really done it on this one much, but still be wary of that. For one, it doesn't really need it anyway, because the spring does all of that anyway in the latch, so yeah, these doors generally never going to open anyway. So, yeah. So, that is a pain in the arse to get into it. That is a pain in the arse to get into it, so yeah. Just saying, that is a feature there. So, overall, what do I think of this thing? I've got mixed feelings about it. Like, if the Tardis was electronic, then I would say it would still be overpriced, but, you know, we were getting, you know, the premium, experience, you know. I could see, you know, maybe why this would be more than a B&M set. Which, by the way, the RRP of the B&M sets is supposed to be £35 for the Tardis X, and they bring it down to £20. However, it not having electronics, no, this is not worth £40. It just isn't. But the thing is, I know this is not going to go on sale. Now, at the time of recording, it's still available. How long it'll be available for? Obviously, until they sell out. So, yeah. Weirdly, the Silurian set was available for 2 years. Yeah. I think it only recently sold out. But this, I'm imagining is going to sell pretty quickly. So, either way, you know, you're going to feel, if you're like me, you're going to feel like you're getting ripped off a bit. Well, quite a bit. If this had electronics, you know, not that I would give the price a pass, but, you know, at least then it has everything. You know, it has a new figure, kind of. A new accessory, and, you know, it would have an electronic TARDIS and that. So at least then, you know, you can kind of, okay, somewhat justify it to yourself. But the fact that this doesn't have electronics, no. This should have either have been just a B&M set, or if the price was less, if it was £30, then I could have went, alright, at least the price, you know, does reflect that more. But the fact that it's £40, no. And there's no excuse for it. I don't know why. Why is this non-electronic? Why is this non-electronic for 40 fucking quid? It makes no sense to me why this would be. So, yeah, you can't use the excuse of, oh, well, it's cost-cutting for B&M. This has no excuse for cost-cutting. So, yeah. Do I recommend it? Well, basically, if you want a Joe Martin figure, there you go. That is the reason to get this. The TARDIS itself, well, I do like it. It doesn't have electronics and that, and it just feels like this doesn't balance it out correctly. So, yeah. And also, a lot of people's ones I've noticed, the boxes have been damaged. Which, yes, I'm amazed mine wasn't, because if we take a look at the boxes, it's a single thin piece of cardboard, that thin, and you can see there's a bit of knocks and dings on mine there. Thankfully, it didn't reflect in the figure itself being damaged, but I do know others who have gotten them damaged, because, again, character options, yeah, just sends it in the literally flimsiest cardboard you can think of. So, yeah. And also, buying from character options, their customer service is also terrible. It is terrible, their customer service. Because, basically, if you did receive a damaged one, basically, it's up to character themselves to judge whether they think it's damaged enough. Which, Sometimes they decide, nah, it's not. And sometimes they say, maybe. But even if they do decide it's damaged enough for, you know, you to send it back, which again, a lot of the time isn't the case, basically you have to send it back to them out of your own pocket and then email them the proof of postage for them to then pay you back. Which again, they don't always do. In fact, a lot of the time they haven't. I've heard a lot of stories about people where they've had to send it back out of their own pocket. And basically, you then have to wait until character then receive it, for them to then give you the money back. And you think, oh, they just send out another one immediately. No, 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 no. You have to then order another one. But the problem is that since they're limited, the stock may be sold out, very much may be sold out by the time they receive yours. So, yeah. So you'd either receive a refund or they send another one out only when they've received the one you've sent back. Yeah. Just terrible customer service. So, that's it for this review. I know I've gone on a lot with this one, but thank you for watching and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.